1 single second. That's all it took for 5 explorers, entrepreneurs, adventurers, dreamers, to be crushed by a force their minds couldn't fully comprehend. A force as ancient and unforgiving as the ocean itself. 6,000 pounds of pressure per square inch. 12,500 feet below the icy waves of the North Atlantic. Just hundreds of meters from the decaying wreck of the Titanic, OceanGate's Titan submersible met its fate. Its carbon fiber hull, once hailed as revolutionary, flexed, cracked, and collapsed inward, triggering a catastrophic implosion. The energy released, equivalent to 2 sticks of dynamite detonating at close range. No warning, no distress signal, no time, just silence. A nanosecond before, there was hope. A nanosecond later, oblivion. This wasn't just a mechanical failure. It wasn't a simple error in engineering or a one-off accident. No, the Titan implosion was the result of a perfect storm. Flawed materials, unchecked ambition, ignored warnings, and an unwavering belief that innovation alone could outwit nature. The sub's body was a patchwork. Carbon fiber meant for aerospace use, titanium end caps, and components that weren't rated or certified by any major maritime authority. Each dive deeper into the ocean pushed the craft closer to collapse. The carbon matrix, exposed repeatedly to the extreme pressures of the deep, began to suffer from microfractures, invisible to the naked eye but deadly in their cumulative effect. With every trip to the depths, the vessel aged by years. And still, the dives continued. If you're the kind of person who needs to understand the truth, who doesn't just accept headlines at face value, but wants to know what's really going on, hit that like button and subscribe. Sinister Insights doesn't just tell stories, we uncover what lies beneath them. We expose the hidden patterns, the ignored red flags, and the psychology of disaster. This is the kind of truth that doesn't make the news, but should. Because behind every structural failure, behind every tragedy that could have been prevented, there's always a human mind that let it happen. Whether through arrogance, pressure, delusion, or plain indifference, disasters are never just about machines. They're about people. Let's talk about Stockton Rush, the man behind OceanGate, the man behind Titan. He wasn't just an engineer or a businessman. He was a self-styled disruptor, an heir to a legacy of aerospace pioneers who believed the rules were made for people less clever than him. He saw himself as the Elon Musk of the Mariana Trench, offering ultra-wealthy thrill-seekers the experience of descending to the Titanic in a high-tech craft he personally helped design. Rush didn't see safety as a priority. He saw it as an obstacle. In an interview that would later send chills down spines, he said, "At some point, safety is just pure waste." That wasn't a slip of the tongue. It was a glimpse into his philosophy. Progress only comes when you're willing to accept casualties. So, who is Stockton Rush, really? A bold pioneer with a vision the world wasn't ready for? Or the architect of his own undoing? A man so convinced of his genius that he stopped listening to anyone but himself. Let's break down exactly why Titan failed. 3 key ingredients combined into one fatal cocktail. First, material mismatch. Carbon fiber is incredibly strong in tension, but dangerously weak in compression. The deep sea doesn't pull, it crushes. Using carbon fiber for a pressure vessel is like making a bomb shelter out of glass. Second, pressure cycling. Every dive subjects the sub to immense force. Over time, microscopic delaminations form. Layers of material begin to separate. It's like bending a paperclip back and forth. Eventually, it snaps. Third, no external review. Titan was never certified by any classification society. No ABS, no DNV, no Lloyd's Register. OceanGate claimed this gave them freedom to innovate. What it really did was remove accountability.
When you stack these 3 on top of each other, you don't get exploration. You get a ticking time bomb, descending into one of the most unforgiving environments on Earth.
And if you want to understand why someone would push forward despite all of this, you need to look at the Dark Triad. Narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy. These 3 personality traits don't just appear in movie villains, they exist in real people, especially those in positions of power. And when they overlap, They create the kind of mindset that can justify risking lives in the name of ego. Let's start with narcissism. Stockton Rush believed in his vision to the point of delusion. I think it's safe because I designed it. That was his response to concerns. Not data, not simulations, just belief in himself. That's not confidence. That's dangerous arrogance, the kind that blinds you to reality. Then there's Machiavellianism, the cold, strategic manipulation of others to serve a personal goal. OceanGate's passengers were required to sign extreme waivers acknowledging in capital letters that the trip could result in death. These waivers weren't a courtesy, they were shields, legal fortresses designed to protect OceanGate, not its passengers. Rush turned danger into a luxury product. He turned fatal risk into marketing gold. You could die down there, but if you survive, you'll have bragging rights no one else does.
And finally, psychopathy. This isn't about being violent, it's about a profound lack of empathy and remorse. Multiple experts warned OceanGate about the risks. Emails were sent, reports filed, engineers raised concerns about the repeated stress cycles and the absence of structural testing. What did Rush do? He fired the dissenters. He downplayed the science. He surrounded himself with yes men and marketed silence as confidence. That's not innovation. That's recklessness masquerading as vision.
Titan wasn't an isolated event. It was the final act of a years-long performance, one where science bowed to ambition and caution was dismissed as cowardice. This brings us to the echo chamber of risk. Stockton Rush operated in a bubble of his own making. He rejected oversight from organizations like NOAA. He declined external validation. He made decisions not based on consensus but on belief. When one of his engineers flagged hull fatigue, Rush didn't investigate. He terminated him. When doubts were raised, he silenced them. When new data conflicted with his mission, it was ignored. Not one of the major maritime safety authorities, no ABS, no DNV, no Lloyd's put their stamp on Titan. Why? Because to allow scrutiny would be to invite questions, and questions were bad for business, bad for brand. So they were pushed aside. In the end, 5 lives were lost. Not in a freak accident, but in a predictable, preventable collapse. A sub that never should have descended to those depths was permitted to go again and again until it didn't come back. 1 second, that's how long it took. 5 brilliant, adventurous people, gone. When charisma, manipulation, and unchecked ego outrun the limits of engineering, humans pay the price. And in the deep ocean, that price is always exacted. The sea doesn't bend to dreams, it crushes them. Let their loss be a wake-up call. Let it remind us that scrutiny is not the enemy of innovation. It's the shield that allows it to thrive. Checks and balances are not bureaucratic red tape. They are lifelines. And no amount of brilliance can outmatch the laws of physics.
Accountability matters if you believe truth should be louder than hype. And if you want to explore more cases where psychology, power, and catastrophe collide, hit that subscribe button now. Sinister Insights dives deep every week into minds, machines, and the moments where everything goes wrong.